Teacher emotions. On any given day, that teacher might walk in, the hearts in their eyes. I love my job, love my students. We're going to have an amazing day. And within 20 minutes, an email from an administrator or an angry parent might come in and you just get all upset. And then the students arrive in your classroom and you're happy again because it's going to be an amazing day of learning. And then the quizzical looks on their faces come across, or they're not doing as well as you think, and then you're worried about are they going to do well on the standardized test, and now we have a little bit of fear coming in. Yeah, in a span of about 20 minutes, you could have all those emotions. Welcome to the world of education. So let's just take a step back. Nice calm beach scene. I'm going to equate this to the students working hard and diligently. They're motivated, improving. Then you might also get the storm clouds coming in. Not always is it a catastrophe. I'm going to call this controlled chaos right here. So we have the music teacher with what appears to be elementary school children, possibly preparing for their holiday concert. I'm making an inference there. Now you can imagine students are working hard, but if they're all out of tune, the rhythm's not there, the teacher on the inside might be like, oh boy, we have a concert coming up and it's not going to go well. Again, it's controlled chaos, but who knows? It's not perfect. How does that emotion translate to the classroom atmosphere, the classroom culture? Recently, in the last, decade or two, more research has been done on emotion and education, teacher emotion, student emotion, emotion. So before that, there really wasn't much. Especially on teacher emotions due to Western culture and the connotation of emotion being more of a feminine kind of topic. That has changed. Teachers have left the profession, partly because of emotional burnout. We found that teacher emotions impact student emotions, so if it's positive, we're going to learn more. Teacher emotions kind of down, it might impact the students, might impact relationships, and we got a problem. High stakes tests. So lovely. It's added stress to teachers, which again, and administrators, which does that feed down to the teachers? Does that feed to the students? How does that impact education and student achievement? All that, there have been some studies. One was by Freed, Mansfield, and Dobosy. We're going to go with that. All right, and they found that in trying to find emotion in a study of 80-some different, a meta-analysis basically of 80-some different studies, very difficult to just come up with one quick definition. So it is complex. It relates to the individuals, the context their individual finds himself in. One situation might happen in school, same situation happens on the beach, we might have a different reaction, a different emotion being felt. It's multidimensional. It's both intrapersonal, our psychology, our biology, but interpersonal, how we kind of relate to other people, to other cultures. So it is interconnected. It includes evaluative, relational, how we get along with people, political forces can also impact our emotions. Again, it might not just like voting politically, but the political policies implemented in education can impact it. All right. And Freed and her fellow researchers also found that the influences on teacher emotion are multi. Personal characteristics, how we feel, what we believe, who we are. The appraisal, which really means how do I internalize kind of like the information which results in whatever emotional expression we have. Again, different teachers might have different appraisals of a student misbehaving. And then, as we said, the social, cultural, political issues. They also found 5 different teacher emotion functions, which is to inform about not just ourselves, but other people, which does impact how we relate to other people, the relationships that we build, the quality of experience. It'll impact, the emotions can impact the culture, classroom culture, the experience of learning. influence gain. If we're having a good day, we might be more open to it. If we have good relationships with people, probably going to have better outcomes. Regulation, traditionally, they have found that works more on how we can personally regulate our emotions. But really, shouldn't we focus more on, and this is what Freed and her fellow researchers argued, that how does the emotion regulate who we are and how we act in the classroom, and then also the motivation of not only teachers but students. All right, continue on. Teacher emotions. So we have all this and kind of informs who we are, what we do. All right, but it impacts professional identities, which connects with motivation for teachers and students and teacher autonomy. They're all interconnected, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. One of the main findings, and this is a study conducted by Mahami and Rashidi. One of the things they found was that emerging teachers need to kind of focus more on emotions. Teacher prep programs need to prepare teachers to not only focus on their emotions, but student emotions. This calls it trauma-informed learning, social-emotional learning, and really understand people. Have some empathy, because once you do that and build the emotions and build the relationships, then your emotions are kind of more, not always happy, but more conducive to a positive classroom culture. And in fact, they wrote that teacher education programs developing teachers' understandings of emotional work values will be conducive to developing their professional identities to address classroom emotional aspects. Okay, what does that really mean? Well, if we kind of work with teachers to help them understand emotion, their identity will be more in line with empathy and having empathy towards students, which will again create a positive relationships, a positive classroom environment, positive emotional aspects. It does not mean everything in life is positive, which we'll get to another minute coming up. So what they found, Rashidi and their co-researcher, that motivation, emotion, autonomy are all connected. Change one, you're going to change the others. For example, action research focused on student motivation and emotions in the classroom. So a teacher might be motivated to focus on, all right, what's motivating my students? How are emotions impacting student motivation? And do some action research to figure out, all right, how can we create the best classroom culture possible? Focusing on emotions and motivation. Well, in doing so, you're developing critical thinking skills because you're figuring out the issue, working to solve it, including those related to emotions. In doing so, teachers feel like they have some autonomy to run their classrooms and get the best out of their students, so it does kind of all connect. Another study by Sadova et al. Focused on improving as a teacher, but also the emotions that go with it. So they studied the connections between teacher emotion and working to change pedagogical practice, basically educational, instructional strategies and practices. It was focused more on, and this was only a study of 8 teachers within a district. However, as limited as it is, I'd love to see this replicated on a larger scale because I can relate to some of what we're going to go through in a minute, as you shall see. They focus on the fact that individuals react differently, so the emotion can impact how a teacher acts in the classroom. Goes with what the other 2 studies have said. All right, this can change teacher identity, how they perceive themselves. Say you're doing trying to change your teaching strategies, practices, and you don't think it's going so well. You might start to have a little bit of self-doubt. Well, now I'm questioning who I am as a teacher. Does that impact the emotion? If it does, how does that impact the classroom? Everything's interconnected. They found that there were 4 types of teachers. So they came in, they're doing this, helping teachers kind of, and the study was this, they were working on changing classroom discussions, making them better, deeper, more analytical, develop more critical thinkers. Well, the 4 types of teachers they found were the quote-unquote perfect teachers. I can do no wrong. I am the greatest. The eager beavers. They want to not just please people, they want to learn. They want to do better. The good movers. Can't bring me down. I'm happy all the time. And the unsure teachers who question their abilities. Confidence is lacking a little bit. Here's what they found. The perfect teachers during this study and working to implement and improve discussion techniques were usually had more pride and anger. Our eager beavers, they were hopeful, displayed more empathy, but also a little disappointed and anxious because they were kind of questioning, am I doing well? The good mooders, happy, satisfied, but also sympathetic to the researchers, being like, oh, so sorry you have to help us. We just want you happy. What can I do to make it better for you? And then our unsure were hopeless, but also anxious, a little nervous because we don't know what to do, but grateful for the help. Now, I'm going to address the good mooders here. There is such a thing as toxic positivity. All right. And you always stress, we have to be positive. That can impede, get in the way of people growing, being more resilient. We learn to work with emotions as they arise. Well, if it's always positive, how do you learn to work through the negative emotions? LaBerge and Cote, that study by that researcher focused on dance classes, but made this connection of the dancers use visualization to kind of get through the tough times and improve. Well, you can do that in life as well. All right, let's visualize mindfulness. If everything's always positive, how do I overcome anything? All right, they said in simple terms, while fostering positive thinking and optimism can be beneficial, the process can be a harmful barrier to one's health and growth, particularly in the performing arts, but you can argue that that's anywhere in life. We have to learn to overcome emotions. So anyway, back to the study on teacher improvement, change, and emotions. The good mooders, they showed little or no change in classroom practices because they just wanted everything to be good and happy. I've worked with a teacher in the past who, the queen of kindness, ran the kindness club. She was awesome. Her student outcomes were not. I've worked with the perfect teacher. I've been doing this for 14 years. You can't tell me anything. Student outcomes weren't that great either. I think I tend to fall into, if I go back real quick, more the eager beaver and sometimes unsure, but I do think that anxiousness sometimes propels you to want to do better. Actually, a lot of times. All right, so the eager beavers, they actually did improve the most. All right. So we have teacher self-understanding, emotions, that everything's connected. Self-esteem, image connected to emotions. Those negative things, they do spur growth. And that's where I think the eager beavers and the unsure teachers have a little bit of an advantage. All right, teachers, according to Sedova, need a little more emotional support in addition to cognitive. So we're going to train you and give you supports to be a great teacher. Focus on emotions too. So what does all this mean? Well, we need to focus on relationships in the classroom. The school culture, morale, connected to relationships, the classroom culture. Hey, if that's in a good place and positive, student achievement grows. We're doing that. We're educating the whole child. And that really is the goal, the whole child. So we need to kind of focus on social emotional learning, which has become huge recently. Self-care for teachers as well as students. Focus on emotions through the curriculum. If you're a language arts teacher, all right, as we talk about a story, let's focus on the emotions of the characters. People through historical events, how have they felt if you're a history teacher? What negative emotions have they had?